This week I felt shame at the gym. I caught myself thinking, how could I let this happen again? And that sentence told me everything that I needed to know. I have been disciplining myself through self-disrespect. To be honest, shame hasn't kept me consistent with anything in my life. If anything, it just made me more dramatic. Hi, my name is Chris, and welcome to the Sunday Audit, a place where I reflect on who I'm becoming before the week begins. Today, we're going to be going over why I'm breaking out with shame. Something that I realized about myself whenever I feel like I'm falling behind is not that I become curious on how to fix the problem, but rather I become very critical of myself. When I'm feeling a little bit more vulnerable with myself, I usually don't say, oh, I'm working toward a goal, but rather, why am I this size? Why am I not where I need to be? Why is the image that I have in my head not here yet? And that voice inside my head, it's not discipline. If anything, it's urgency, it's impatience, and most of all, it's self-punishment disguised as ambition. What I actually needed in that moment wasn't more pressure on myself. What I really needed is patience. Patience to understand that I'm rebuilding my life, patience to trust that I'm going to the next level, and patience toward not measuring myself to where I'm going. In my last video, I set 4 goals for myself with a deadline of March 31st. Read a chapter a day, move my body for 30 minutes a day, journal once a day, and also clean my house for 30 minutes a day. Can I say that the week went perfectly? No. But what we can do is reflect on how it went. So let's start with what worked well. The biggest thing that I can say that worked well this week is that I actually showed up. Even though I struggled with the idea of being behind, I still made time to show up for the things that I wanted to get done. I didn't quit even though I was late on a lot of things. I didn't spiral because it wasn't perfect. I didn't restart the week just because I didn't complete one goal. You know how we always say, we'll start over on Monday. But I decided to push through and do as much as I could. I kept small promises to myself, not to be perfect, but just to show up. And that was super important for a person who is super critical on themselves. And honestly, with that consistency, not only in my mindset, but also rewarding myself for the small progress that I made, definitely made a difference. What worked wasn't rigidly sticking toward the schedule that I made, but sticking to the core idea of trying. To me, soft discipline looks like showing up for yourself, staying in it, even when you're not that impressed by your results, but still showing up anyway. So based on those reflections, what I could have changed this week was my tone. Shame still found its way to sneak into my life, into my thoughts. When I compared myself to my old body, when I wanted faster results, when I focused on all of the numbers for my platform, all those things that seemed very significant became something that took over my mindset. And I wasn't too proud of it or the way I spoke to myself during that time. I realized I'm rushing myself to get to the place or the person that I want to be. And that's not productive at all, especially when I'm talking to myself the way I did. So for me, what needs to change isn't necessarily the effort, but just the way that I speak to myself. My effort should not be defined by the critical voice, but at least the positive, the one that's reassuring myself that I can do the things that I need to do. My favorite moment of this week definitely was not the gym, nor how I felt in the gym, but that I actually went to the gym. Or let's not even say that. Just the idea that I tried and I showed up for a lot of the things that I wanted to do this week. Some favorite milestones of mine this week was posting my first YouTube video, which was scary, but exciting. And also just conversing with people of like-mindedness. You never know where you're gonna find community, and I think my favorite highlight of the week is finding community in places that I didn't expect. So I think I was very proud and happy about that this week. I'm also happy of the way in which I switched up my tone when I realized that I was being critical. A lot of the times, instead of saying, oh, this is just the beginning, I usually tell myself, oh shit, why are you not where you need to be? And honestly, that shift felt like self-respect. And I'm here for that. And that definitely matters way more than performance. Lastly, let's do a wellness check-in. Mentally, I would definitely give it a a 3 stars. And the reason why for that is because I felt like I was still critical of myself, but it wasn't as critical as I used to be. So 3 works there. Emotionally, I would give myself a 4, which is crazy given how dramatic I am with emotions. I don't think I went off the rails as much as I usually do. There were small hiccups here and there. I'm a certified crash out, so it'll probably always stay at a 4 and never a 5. Physically, I'm gonna say about a 2. I'm tired, especially after going to the gym and doing personal training. It's tiring. I'm trying to stay as positive as possible, because yeah. But yeah, I'm definitely physically tired because I have a very stationary job, and for the last few years I have not been moving as much as I need to. I haven't done any physical activity since December of last year, and I was just going to Disney. It wasn't even like it was a gym thing. So yeah, I'll give it a 2 for this week, but we'll get better, definitely. Overall, I will say that my nervous system just felt safer this week. It felt calmer. It didn't feel like I was rushing toward an outcome, nor making myself feel bad for not getting to the outcome that I wanted to do. Did I meet all of my goals this week, especially day by day? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But that's okay. I know that I'm just going to get better with it. And the idea around here is compounding. You do one task, or at least focus on one task a week. If you can accomplish that, then you go to the next task for next week, and then you continue to add on. And that's kind of how I'm going to go about it. So here's my intention for next week. I'm going to be choosing patience a lot more instead of pressure. And my one promise to myself is that I'm going to try without evaluating the process as I do it. I'm just going to do it instead of being critical of it. No criticizing, no comparing, no rushing. At the end of the day, showing up is going to matter way more than me trying to start over the entire week because I didn't do something. I just need one habit to stick to throughout the week to make me feel sane, and also to trust myself, which has been difficult over the years. If you've been disciplining yourself through shame, or you've been measuring yourself based on what's missing out of your life, try patience this week with me. Just give it a try. Pick one small promise that you know that you can commit to yourself this week, and let's just start with that. Keep it visible. Tell your friends. Make an accountability partner. Do they still do that? I don't know. If you want me to be yours, you can totally do that. Put it in the comment section. I'll hold you accountable for real. Maybe don't do that. I think if you were to ask one of my friends about me being an accountability partner, it's more of a drill sergeant. So I'm going to try to be softer with you guys as much as I'm being soft with myself. But I'm just giving you the experience and a heads up that I'm very serious about your progress. But one thing to keep in mind, despite all of that, is that we do not shame ourselves over here. We do not have it at all. We do not shame ourselves over here. We build strength slowly. We make sure that we're making progress, even though it's small. And most importantly, we are proud of ourselves along the way. I'm not trying to rush into a new version of myself. I don't want you to rush into a new version of yourself. If anything, I'm just becoming me again. I'll see you next week for the Sunday audit.